Welcome, acolytes. Today, Rev again. He's coming on the chopping block. He's actually talking about the Joker 2 flop. I already heard of that it flopped, but I was so freaking hopeful for the second one. I really wanted it to excel, but I only hear negatives. Sadly. At one point, well, gonna see it anyway, but hey, it is what it is. Let's just see. And yes, my character doesn't move because I don't have the lighting correct. Now I know what this is about. It's about the entirely the lighting. Now I'm testing, I'm recording the video on a certain time or to a certain darkness, and I really have to record those if it's shining, but this isn't an option at the moment for me because sometimes work is work. I just have to get through this. So let's just start about that right now.
Hey, what's up, guys? Up here. So today we're going to be talking about Joker 2, FAILD. This is the sequel of the original Joker film from 2019. And right now, the reviews are in and people are very disappointed. Not only is
sad. I'm so sad.
this film a disappointment at the box office, but viewers of the film are walking out of theaters, giving very bad reviews. Overall, a very big disappointment.
Yeah, and if it's bad, it's bad. You can't do shit against it. But damn it, the first one was so legendary. So effing legendary. And the second one seems to be just downgraded.
And a lot of people have a very simple question. Why was this movie even made? Well, the answer is pretty simple. It's a cash grab. And I believe in the very, very controversial opinion that maybe we should have some more standalone films, right? Just one successful film, no unnecessary sequels. However, a lot of times when you have a successful first film, sequels are made as a simple cash grab, and they often work to not only damage the reputation of the franchise as a whole, but sometimes it damages the original story as well, and that's what happened.
Oh, and I agree with him so much. There is not a lot of times, except like Kung Fu Panda. You can hang me for that as long as you want. But Kung Fu Panda, first, second, third, every part is genius. Every part has heart, exactly the exact amount you need. But the Joker, the first thing, was legendary. And I didn't expect the second one to be as good, maybe a bit slightly worse. And I was so excited. I was so freaking excited how they implement Thingy Bob, Harley Quinn into it. I was so freaking excited about it. Just the people that actually made this made Joker to an entirely different beast than he was. And if they could have done it the same thing to Harley, it would be so legendary.
Happened with Joker 2. In fact, a lot of people believe that this film was basically made out of spite for the fans of the first film. They genuinely believe that this was made to be a big middle finger to the fans of the original Joker film from 2000.
Really? That bad? Oof, come on. Whew. Damn. And yes, as I said, the first one was just a freaking legend. Nobody expected it to actually do this well, and it still did. It just went out, punched again, and then punched again, and it was just beautiful. It was freaking beautiful.
It was kind of doomed in many different ways. It was being directed by Todd Phillips, who is most known for doing the Hangover trilogy. Also, it was a story, a background story of the Joker, and a lot of people were just like, who even asked for this? But we know the story. It came out, and it was a huge success. A lot of people fell in love with the story. They fell in love with the character, or at least sympathized with the character Arthur Fleck. And ended up being a enormous box office.
Yeah, it was a box office, and I just have to interact. Like, it was after I heard that the people who do Hangover make this entire thing. I was like, okay, it's done. Thank you for trying, but no thank you. It won't happen. But I got proven so wrong, and I am so happy about it. And you might find it generally surprising that somebody is actually happy when he's proven wrong. I am. When I have a negative thought and I think negatively about something and it turns out to be positive, I love that. I love that.
Success, getting over $1 billion, becoming the first R-rated film to do so, and also it was extremely well reviewed by the audience scores. And of course, there was some mishap in the media. A lot of people were making ridiculous claims about this film in the months leading up until its release. There was a general narrative out there where people were trying to say that this film, the original Joker, was going to inspire an incel uprising.
Yep.
Where people, these incels, would go to the movie theater and they'd be inspired by this story and go out and, how do I say this on YouTube, commits mass Minecrafting of people. That's what they genuinely thought would happen, which is kind of ironic how this film was being demonized by the media, and then it's a story about someone being kicked down by everyone in society. But anyways, there were no massacres as a result of this film. In fact, the only thing that looked like a massacre coming out of this film is Joker 2, Folie à Deux. Now, we should have known better with a title like that. You knew this was going to be a bunch of pretentious slop.
And he's correct about it. I mean, I didn't see the film, so there's that, but I didn't know it was pretentious slop, to be honest. I was actually quite hopeful, but, well, I got stomped, so probably I didn't see it myself. But most of the time, if Ref likes something, I like it. If the YouTubers I watch like something, I like it. Most of the time, it's not always the same, but... So yeah, let's just see.
And the big thing, the big change between the first film and this one was that this was going to be a pseudo-musical, where basically they're going to interweave a bunch of musical performances throughout the film, which is a very odd choice for this film based on what happened in the original one.
What? A musical? Fuck me, okay, no wonder it died. Doing a musical is very risky. And you need first of all a lot of balls to actually do it. Second of all, to do it correctly. Damn, that's hard.
But that is something that was a big departure. And I'm not going to spoil anything. I'm just going to talk very generally. But in the film itself, some people really consider the musical performances to not only be the filler, the fluff holding together the terrible story, that it was actually like propping up the story entirely, which is insane because in Joker 2, the storyline is so boring and just a regurgitation of most of the events of the first film. It's genuinely boring. So some people actually thought the musical numbers were more interesting than the story, which is an insane thing to say about a Joker film. But overall, there is a lot to say about this, and I think the storyline is so convoluted. I think this review really captures it. So, citing a quote from the first Joker film, "You wouldn't get it." And then they reply saying, "Yeah, no one does, bro. What's going on here?" Referring to the story of Joker 2, which, again, I'm not going to spoil anything, but basically it picks up where the last film left off. Arthur Fleck goes on trial for the crimes of the Joker, and it becomes a sort of how responsible is he for all of these actions and these murders and terrible things. And basically, to skip forward to the end, the ending is just atrocious. It's the worst thing ever. It basically makes the entire first film completely meaningless, and it takes away all of the mystery surrounding that film, the ambiguities. It takes away really the heart of that entire movie. And it really not only, this story in Joker 2 didn't just destroy Joker 2, it destroyed the first film too, which is...
Oh, no, please. Oh. I have to see it for myself. No. How the fuck can it be that you make the second part of something and it's so bad that it draws the freaking first part in the dirt? Fuck every single one of the producers in there. Just fuck you. Ugh.
amazing. A two stones with one bird kind of situation. A whole bunch of goofery right there. But the funny thing is, in terms of performances, Joaquin Phoenix and Lady Gaga both did well. Like, I don't think anyone's shocked about Phoenix, but Lady Gaga, she did what she's supposed to, right? She's supposed to go in there and sing some musical numbers. Her take on Harley Quinn is a much more different one than we've seen. She's not just some pet for Joker to play with. She's more of a crazy, fanatical person obsessed with the Joker, but that's a whole different route. But they really did what they could for these roles. This story was just so bad. Like, it doesn't matter how good the acting is when the story is that bad. You can't fix the issue when the bones of the story are the problem.
Yeah.
Now, reflecting on the end of this movie and how it dismantled the events of the first Joker film, it's no surprise that the director Todd Phillips says now he's done with the DC universe, basically saying, yep, I destroyed that and now I'm going to move on and, say no more on the subject. Well, there is a genuine theory out there, and a lot of people believe this, and I think there's some merit to it. There's something off about Joker 2. It feels like a deliberate middle finger to the fans of the first film. It's trying to undermine everything that it was building up. It's basically like one of those scenarios where you weren't supposed to like the character, but people did anyways. People liked the character Arthur Fleck, and they even...
Yes, because it was a good written freaking criminal. You understood him. I understood his motivations. It wasn't good what he did, don't get me wrong. He was still a gigantic effing asshole. But the character, how he was written, was fantastic. Then you get... okay, I really have to see it for myself.
And sympathize with him. And unfortunately, that wasn't the goal of Phillips. Apparently, you were supposed to hate Arthur Fleck, and he was very upset about it. So, he comes out with a couple $100 million joke where he's going to go own the chuds who liked Arthur Fleck by dismantling his character entirely in the second film. It's a very elaborate gotcha moment, but yeah, a very unwelcomed one. And
it's like the avocado guy. This guy plays his own games, and he's actually quite surprised that he actually is 2 steps ahead just because he's playing in his own mind.
A lot of people, like I said, feel like this whole film, Joker 2, was an FU to the fans of the original film, which is, again, a costly own on the chuds. We've seen scenarios like this before in media where there's characters you're...
By the way, how fucking pity. If this is true, how fucking pity you have to be to actually own people that you never, ever will meet in your life. You won't ever, like most of them, 99.9% of them, you won't even see. It's just some freak on Twitter that goes out or on social media. Let's not take Twitter, purely Twitter on the freaking hangman's solemn here. It's just a few freaks, and your ego is so small. It's so frail that you have to actually own the charts with other people, with something that you put your time, effort, and millions of dollars in. And the millions of dollars could have been invested in something good, saving lives. But you didn't even try to entertain people. You just made it so you can protect your ego. How pathetic is that?
Not supposed to like, but fans end up liking them, and then the directors panic and then try to rewrite the character in the most ridiculous ways to make you look like a fool for liking them in the first place. We've seen it with The Man in the High Castle. We've seen it most recently with the boys, like, oh, you stupid chuds, you're not supposed to like Homelander, he's stupid. And then they have to make him comedically embarrassing and ridiculous in the latest season to make you feel stupid for liking him or even enjoying the character in any sort of a way. That's kind of what was going on with Arthur Fleck in the first Joker film. You weren't supposed to like him, apparently, and now you have Phillips very angry trying to unwind anything you would have liked about that first film. Like I said, they didn't just destroy Joker 2, they destroyed the first film as well, which is impressively bad. And it seems almost intentional at that point. All this to get an own on people, which is amazing.
On people that they wouldn't ever meet in the real life. Maybe on Twitter, but not... Okay.
Amazing how someone can get so much funding for something that is basically a personal middle finger to fans of your own work. Kind of crazy. But the audience scores are reflective of that. Obviously, not everything from like Rotten Tomatoes or anything like that always means something. But one thing I do find kind of as a legitimate thing to look at is when the audience score and the critic scores are really similar and also really low. That generally means something. It generally means it's really bad. Okay, you don't see it happen too often where both sides agree that something's really bad, and that's what's happening. No matter what site you look at, all the reviews are very similar. They're both low from critics and regular audience scores as well. And there's no excuse for this right now. I mean, think about DC products right now. You have the Joker flopping hard, but then at the same time, we're witnessing The Penguin on HBO Max, which is absolutely killing it right now. And I would very highly recommend.
Then I really want to see it. The Penguin, if you actually can... The character itself is actually quite boring in my opinion. But the Penguin himself has so much potential. Really a high potential value, so yeah.
You check this out. I mean, it's already breaking all kinds of records for a first-time premiering show on HBO Max. And on top of that, the audience scores are phenomenal. People are really, really happy with this story. And another one that kind of felt like Joker, where people like, did we really want this story in the first place? But man, oh man, are they killing it so far with that. So again, I highly recommend The Penguin. Definitely worth checking out. But to put a nail in the Joker 2, this was a monumental flop. And again, another example of a cash grab sequel that went beyond just disappointment. It literally tarnished the first film that so many people, like myself, enjoyed. A story that did what it had to do, made a very compelling story, and left just enough ambiguity at the end where it made it interesting and it had a little bit of mystery to it. But all of those gaps have now been filled in the worst way possible, and all the things you liked about the first film have been completely dismantled. Like, I cannot believe this actually happened, but it shouldn't have been too surprising knowing this was a sequel and likely a cash grab. But beyond that, it seemed like a personal vendetta from its own director against the fans of his own original work. But for now, it's going to do it for this video.
Thank you for the information, Ref. And you acolytes, good night. I am having a bad feeling about Joker 2 right now. But as it is, good night.